Okay, folks, with me today is Joanne Fisher. She's the author of 20 books, and she's written articles for us in Primo, and we've reviewed her books, gave her rave reviews on so many books that she's written in different genres. She also has a nonfiction series for traveling boomers, and she writes about Israel and Spain and Italy. Many of her novels take place in Italy, but then she also has diversified. She has novels that are set in the Deep South and elsewhere. And she's with me today. Joanne, it's amazing. You've written 20 books. That's an incredible number. So many of us just struggle to write one novel, but you've been able to write 20. How do you do it?
Well, I just have this vein that just doesn't want to go away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ideas
we always imagine
in my head.
What's that?
I have all these ideas in my head. I
Oh
have
really?
dreams, all sorts of stuff.
That's amazing. Let me ask you. So were you born in Italy? Is that right, or was you?
No,
You weren't born in Italy. Okay.
no. I was born in Canada from Italian parents from they're Calabrese, and they immigrated there, and like we have a whole family up there in Canada, the Toronto area around there. And so when I was about 20, just out of college, my dad decided that let's go back to Italy, and I'm like, sure. At that time, it didn't seem, you know, it seemed like an adventure, you know. So so we sold everything and went back to Italy. And as soon as we got there, we found an apartment. This was when we got there, meaning in northern Italy, very close to Lake Garda, Lago di Garda. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard of it. That's where her Spanish doll is set, by the way. Anyway, so as soon as we got there, about a month later, we went down to Calabria to go visit our relatives and everything because nobody had seen us. A lot of people never even met my sister and I. So we all went down there, stayed a couple of months, and then we came back up north, and because that's where the work was. That's just
Right.
I mean, down south. My dad actually wanted to stay down south, and I said no. I said, if you want to live here, I said I'm going to go back to Canada because I couldn't stay down there. Like there was
Right.
still in those days. Now we're talking early '80s. Um, there's still like women couldn't drive a car, you couldn't
Oh,
drive a Vespa. It was like really frowned upon, and there was a lot of it was a lot of like really old traditions from
right.
like my grandmother's time.
Right.
So I'm like, no, Dad, I'm sorry, I'm not living
Mhm.
here. Um, so we compromised, and we ended up living in northern Italy.
Where in Calabria
Which
was your
is
father? Were your parents from?
my parents are from. Well, now it's called Lamezia Terme, but in those days, but Lamezia Terme nowadays is they unified three cities: Nicastro, San Biase, and Sant'Eufemia, and so they call it Lamezia Terme. And there's also an international airport there. So and they but they lived almost in a little quarter, kind of like towards the mountain. And my grandmother's house is still there, of course,
Mm.
still standing. Although inside it hasn't been lived in since my grandmother died back in 2000. So it's 25 years it's been empty. So now we finally got together all the cousins, and we basically sold our part to one of the cousins who's going to fix it up and hopefully turn it into kind of a, Airbnb kind of thing. I don't know, whatever. I don't care. I wasn't interested in that house, so I have my house. I'm good.
Well, Calabria is on the tip of the boot. So were you guys
Yes,
closer to
it's the boot.
Sicily, or were you guys farther away from Sicily? Just give us an idea.
Um, I would say, oh boy, it's not quite Sicily, although I have cousins in Sicily, but that's okay. I would say probably about a couple of 100 kilometers inwards towards the north part, I guess I would say of
Right.
the boot.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
Campania is, I guess.
not the south
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So you went up from Calabria to Lake Garda,
Hmm.
which is that's. I mean, if people don't know, that's where there's a famous scene in Star Wars that was that was filmed there. And you have that Lake Como, and like it's just a
Yes,
beautiful area
it's
of
beautiful there.
Italy. So many wealthy people live there.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Lake Garda is a real pearl. It's a hidden pearl. There's Sirmione there. Era Desenzano is where my children were born. So my children were born in a hospital that was like on a hill, and you could see the whole lake. It was just absolutely
What
gorgeous.
a great place to have to give birth to children.
Yeah, absolutely for sure. And sadly, my father passed away in that hospital too. So
That's too
anyway,
bad. Okay,
whatever, good and bad. What are you
what
gonna
did he
do?
what did he do in Lake Garda? What was his employment there? What did he do?
But my dad,
Yeah.
my dad just worked. Okay, my dad worked for. All right, let me go back a little bit. When we first got to Italy, we worked kind of for Barzetti, Papa Barzetti, which basically now was bought out by Barilla and Mulino Bianco, which you know Barilla, the pasta.
Yeah,
Everybody
right. The
knows the
pasta, right.
pastas, right?
Yeah.
And then their sweets department, which is called Mulino Bianco. It's got the yellow packages.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So they ended up buying out this Papa Barzetti. So my dad ended up working there, and he worked until he was about 60. And then sadly, he got his first tumor on his throat. And then he kind of stopped working.
Nice.
And then 3 years later, he passed away.
Oh,
So, yeah.
what made him want to go? What made him want to leave Canada? I mean, he brought you up there, and at 20 years old, he wants to go back to Italy. What made him want to go back to Italy?
I don't know. I don't know. Um, it's kind of a mystery that died with him. Maybe a little bit of nostalgia. I honestly don't know. Anyway, when but 2 years after we got there, he was already like he already realized that he made a huge mistake.
Really? Oh, why is that? What
So
made him think that? What, just out of curiosity?
to bring us to Italy, he realized that we weren't happy there, and we weren't
Oh, I
we weren't
see.
very happy the first couple of years. And then my mom ended up so he ended up leaving Italy, went back to Canada just for like literally a few months, and he was going to buy a house, and he was going to get a job and all that. And then he was going to slowly call us back to go back to Canada because he had realized his mistake. And we were all on board and everything. But unfortunately, my mother ended up having a heart attack
Oh my goodness.
while he was gone. So, and so I still remember the scene, my calling my dad with the Jettoni in the phone. There
Yeah.
was
Right.
specific
Yeah.
coins, tokens, I guess you call them in English. And so I had to call. My sister was putting in the coins, and I was talking with my dad, in this phone booth, and telling him, mom, she had a heart attack. So he just immediately just came home, and we never looked back. We stayed there until 1997.
Wow.
Yeah,
What a saga! I mean, it's really
yeah,
quite amazing. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. It was quite a saga.
we just moved from one city to the next in the country. That's a
Right.
big.
It
But you
is.
got you went from Canada back to Italy. Your father then
Right.
goes back to Canada, and all of a sudden all these things happen. It must have been quite the time for you.
Right. It was, and in Italy, so my husband was my ex-husband. He was a farmer, so I really didn't need to work because he was making a decent living. But then at a certain point, I bought like a little store. I bought two stores. I bought one and I made it work and everything, and then I sold it because the guy wanted the room back or whatever. Anyway, so it worked out well. But I bought the second one, and that one like basically cost me a lot of money. I
Of
lost a
course,
lot of
I
money with
understand.
that store.
Yeah.
It was right in Desenzano, and it was supposed to be, really busy and everything, but I don't know what happened. So I ended up losing a lot of money with that store. So after
It's
that,
tough, like it's tough to own. You're writing about you wrote an article about Italy. Your
yeah,
time there. You were saying it was because a lot of people are thinking about going to Italy today,
oh yeah,
and live there and work there, maybe open up a business. But you were there, and you were writing about how it's tough to open a business or maybe to run a business than it is here in the United States. You were mentioning about that. What made it what made it more difficult, say,
well,
in some ways?
first of all, even though I was raised in Canada, I was always with the mindset that I could open up a business, anywhere. I
Yeah.
always had that American style entrepreneurship in my head, whereas like, yeah, I'm gonna open up a business, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll try something else. So but I loved being in retail. I love selling stuff to people, and because I love fashion and all that. So but it just didn't work out. We like Here's a perfect example of the bureaucracy. There's laws in Italy that are still go back to when Mussolini was in power.
Right.
So like when the bars, an Italian bar where you go and you have an espresso at the counter and all
Yeah.
that, and they have liquor and everything. They have to have certain fridges under the counter that have to be a certain size and certain like temperature and all that. And this law goes way back to Mussolini. And the bar owner next door to my store was telling me this. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, you know. So for us, we opened up. I think it was early fall, and I wanted to do a kind of a sale, right? And I was giving out like 10% discount because I just opened the store and I wanted to. But you cannot have sales if they're not in the sales period, which means in July and in December. You're
Oh,
not allowed.
really? Oh, okay.
And you know what they did? The Vigili Urbani, which is basically the municipal police, they passed by my store and they came in. I wasn't there, my sister was there, and they gave me like a kind of similar to a $1,400 fine, which I hadn't even sold anything to that value at all. I had just put the sign out in the window, and that was it. So I hadn't even
Here you are, you
sold
own
it.
the store, you have excess inventory, right? Like everybody does.
Yeah,
And you want to sell, you don't want to have a sale, you want to get people to come in and buy your inventory that you might have even planned to
you
increase
can't.
your inventory for that purpose, but you can't have a sale outside
No,
of July and December. That's insane.
that is correct. No, not December. Sorry, January.
In
So
January, okay.
July and January, which is the end of summer and the end of winter, basically. That's and if honestly, if you go out like even a week out, it's no, you get a fine. So that was just one of the things that really disappointed me about
Of
Italy a
course.
lot. And
Yes.
of course, when you have a business, you have to pay your taxes whether you make money or not. The government wants their money. That's it. So, I mean, to give a little bit of advice to anybody who's thinking about going to Italy and opening up a business, don't. Unless you have tons of money you want to throw away, have at it. Or
Yeah.
like if you want to go and if you got some money and you want to buy an old house and you want to redo it and renovate it and live in there, sure, go for it. There's a lot of people that are doing that and they're doing it successfully. By all means, go for
Mm,
it.
mm.
But just get ready that you know the house might need more. Like they say, oh, you can buy a house in Italy for $1 or a euro or
Right.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
daughter looked into this too. But then what's the catch? The catch is that when you have to fix it, that dollar is going to turn into hundreds of thousands of euros because you have to do everything per code. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
bureaucracies in Italy. It's unfathomable for Americans to understand.
They have so many taxes too, right? You got income taxes, you got the VAT tax. I guess they must have a sizable property tax, I'm assuming, as well. I mean,
Yes, yes, property tax. Yeah, we used to pay it on because my ex-husband still lives in the house where we lived in, where I raised my children. Basically, he still lives there. And every year you got to pay your property taxes, and you got to pay taxes to watch a lot of ITV. Okay, you got to pay. It's called. You never heard of il canone televisivo?
no, I
No.
never did.
Okay.
No.
It's kind of like I think you paid in January, and it's a once a year tax, and it's a tax, so you get the privilege to watch the three Italian government channels. So Rai Uno, Rai Due, Rai Tre. You get to pay a tax to. It's called the canone abbonamento or something. I can't remember the exact terminology. Basically, you have to pay a tax to watch TV to have the antenna on your thing. And a lot of people, when they tried to not pay it, I knew a lot of people who tried to not pay it, but they catch you. As soon as they see an antenna on your roof, they're like, no, you didn't pay your tax. Okay, now you got to pay whatever the years that behind that you didn't pay.
Amazing. Yeah, that's
And
incredible.
it's something like, I don't know how much it is now, but back then it was something like probably 70 or $80 a year. It wasn't a
Yeah.
lot, but
Yeah.
probably
Right. Heck
now
yeah. Right.
it's
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. There's no such thing as a free lunch like everybody thinks.
oh nowhere, nowhere.
Oh,
nowhere. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but last night my husband and I were watching this video about all the best places to retire to,
yeah,
Belize and
right,
Costa
right.
Rica and all those. You know, it's like I'll just stay in Florida. I'm good.
What got now? What made you? So you when you were in Italy? So did you went back to Canada? I guess that's
Yes,
how it
we
worked
did.
for you.
We did. So when my
Okay.
dad passed away in 1994, we're like, okay, what are we doing here? Let's go back home because we were always kind of wanted desire to go home. So we started looking into things. My mother went to Canada for a visit she stayed for a couple of months with my oldest son, and they stayed there just to see how things were. She got informed about how much the houses were and all
Yeah.
that. If there was work, and life was pretty good back then in Canada. Um, so in 1997, we before that we sold everything and everything. Me and my family and my sister's family and my mom, and we all went back. And we all lived together in the same house for about a year, and then slowly everybody kind of got their own house and everything like that. Um, and then and my ex-husband, he was suffering. He hated it.
You didn't
He
like it, yeah.
complained every day.
Right.
Um, Even though I sent him to Italy, I sent him I would send him there like every year to at least he could stay with his family and his friends. But
Yeah.
he didn't like it. So at a certain point, I said, okay, let's do this. Let's get divorced, and you go back to Italy. And then in the meantime, I had met my husband online. He was a friend, and then after we ended up meeting, and we fell in love, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera.
Right.
Well, he's still there. He's still there. He's still in Italy, and actually, he was just operated on he had a um, liver cancer, so he just came out of the hospital. So, and the first person he calls is, guess who? Yours truly. I don't know why. I guess so. What are you
So
gonna do? Yeah. So
when did you move to Florida? What year did you move to Florida?
well, um, my husband was an active police officer in Palm Bay Police.
Okay.
So he couldn't very well leave at his age to go to Canada and become a police officer.
Right.
So I said,
Right.
I can easily find a job. And so I did. We did all the paperwork. We did all the applications with USCIS, and I got my work permit, came down, started working. And in 2010, I got my citizenship. So
Oh, really? Okay. Good. Yeah, that's good.
yes.
Yeah,
So
good.
I'm tri-citizen.
Yeah, right. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
out of the United States and Florida, Canada and Italy, which is the best place?
Oh, Florida right now.
Really?
Oh, I wouldn't go back to Canada, not even if you paid me. It's just transformed. It's
Really?
transformed into a socialist paradise,
Yeah, that's
apparently.
true. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
it's just really it's getting worse and worse by the day. And honestly, I'm very disappointed in Canada because I love Canada. It's my home country. I was born
Yeah.
there.
Right. Because you live there and you have connections there.
Yeah,
We would just receive the media imagery, and some of us may go visit Canada and
yeah,
Italy. We don't know for sure what's going
of
on.
course. Of course.
What makes
I
it
mean,
so
anywhere
tough
you
in
visit,
Canada?
if you go visit Canada, you'll never know
You never
that
know.
that you know that a regular Canadian citizen will pay up to 55% taxes um, in a year. So between the healthcare, all the free healthcare, and between the carbon tax and sales tax and government tax in Ontario, and it's like, wow, it's crazy. It's just crazy. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
I used to I knew a lot of people from Canada who would want to go to the United States all the time. They're always asking me questions about what it's like to live in America and stuff. And I just really never had much of I always grew up in America. I always lived in
right.
America, so I just never
Oh,
really understood
mhm.
what they were going through, and for me, it's always insightful to talk to people like yourself who's actually had those kinds of experiences there.
I think it's a little bit easier for Canadians to come down if they want to, as long as they can prove that even if you don't know anybody or anybody can sponsor you, like me, I'm sponsoring my children, but um, they can like if they have like a trade or something where they can establish a business and show the government that they're prospering and they're doing well and they're hiring people and things like that. I think it gives them a little bit more of an edge to come down here. My
Well,
thing is, you want to come, do it legally.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, a lot of Canadians that come here though, and they do very well.
They
because they
do.
know the
They do
language
very
well.
well.
Yeah, they do very well in the United States. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you've got 20 books that you've written.
right.
Um, and all these. What's your favorite? I mean, I hate to ask you this, but with 20 books, what's your favorite of these books that you've written? I mean, you've written so many of them. I mean, what?
Oh, I know. I know. Obviously, they're all my children, right?
They're all your children, right? It's tough to pick,
They
right?
all. Um, Let me see. I think my favorite is still my first book, which I what I did was last year. It was a big project of mine. I unpublished both the part one and part two of With All of Me, which you
Yeah.
did a review on. So what I did was I re-edited it, and I changed the covers, changed the size, and so now I created a trilogy. And so hang on, I have a picture here. The covers are like, the first book is Juliana, which is my main character. Then I have Aaron and Bobby. So they're all interconnected. They all like interconnect with each other. The covers. It's really cool the way they're my cover artist. She's a genius. So that's still my favorite story of them all, because it reflects a little bit of me at that point in time in my life,
Yeah.
but not quite, like, because then Juliana goes and does her own thing. But yeah,
I
I
was going to
like the
ask you
book.
about that because some of your books have a lot of characters in them.
Hmm.
And are you always in the book? You know what I'm saying? Do you always take the place of, as a character in your book, actually you, maybe a minor character, even a main character? Or do you always feel as though, as an author, you're always in the book one way or the other?
Well,
As a
yeah,
character.
yeah. And if I'm not in the book, there are people that I know that are in the book that maybe change the name.
Let me stop right there. How do they like that when they read about themselves? Because I always that's a interesting question. A lot of authors run into
Yes.
problems with that sometimes.
Well, I haven't run into problems
Good,
because
yeah, right,
I
right.
the only issue I've ran into was when I wrote my very first book, which is the kind of life story of my parents. I before I wrote it and everything, and then I asked my cousins if I can get their permission to publish it,
Oh,
because it
really?
was kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I told them this is what. So a couple of them said, no, I don't want the information out there. So I never published it. So what I did was I PDF the book and I gave a copy to each of my children and then my sister's kids. And so that's it. That's all we're going to do.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, and my favorite of your books is the Devil of
St.
Saint
Gabriel.
Gabriel. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
amazing because that is like a almost a tense thriller between the parish priest and a woman that they take in who's down on her luck,
Yeah.
and she's very manipulative, and you have this tension between them. And what I thought
Yes.
what was interesting is how you kind of captured the social media interaction, the texting and other things that people are doing, and you're
Hmm.
able to put that in a book form, and
Yes.
it flowed very well. I thought this was interesting because a lot of authors are shying away from depicting the way we communicate today, but you were upfront about it. You were engaged with that, and just the story itself I thought was quite fascinating. And it was one of my favorite of your books. I think.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
Devil
that.
Saint
It
Gabriel.
is
Yeah.
my first murder mystery.
Yeah.
And I, I sell a lot of it, right? Especially when I sell in person, when I go to my events, whatever, I sell so much of it. It's just sometimes I run out, it's crazy. Um, but that also, it's inspired by story, but it's not without the killing. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Right.
But
Right.
it did happen where a priest was harassed by a young woman, and
Mm.
because she thought she could easily, try and get him to leave the priesthood, but no, he was. And then they ended up. I mean, they ended up putting out a uh, what's it called?
Restraining order or something like that.
Yes, a restraining order against her, and so which led her to moving out of the area, which everything got settled down. But he got in a little bit of trouble too,
Yeah, I'm sure.
because
I'm sure. Yeah.
he wanted to save her soul, so to speak, and he was so naive that I think the bishop kind of called him and said, "Hey, dude, you know."
Yeah, right, right, right,
So,
right,
and this is he's telling me in confidence because he's a very good friend of ours too.
right, right. Fascinating story. And for Italian, if you're for Italian Americans, the Christmas stories that you have in Naples, Verona, Milan,
Hmm.
Rome, I think Florence and Venice.
Florence and
I mean,
Venice, yes.
yeah, so because you're Italian, you know what it's like to be there. You were able to capture aspects of these cities that a lot of us would probably overlook or not know
Hmm.
if we're tourists or visitors, you know. And I thought that was very interesting how you really you capture the whole essence of these cities.
Yes, I those books, I sell them very well, and especially because there's the recipes in the back. So I don't
Yes,
know if you
right,
noticed,
right.
but at the back of every book, there's authentic recipes from that city or from that area, so to speak. And I sell them very well. And my readers, I have readers that wait for the next one to come out. Waited. Now I'm kind of done doing them because um, I kind of ran out of cities, and I'm kind of taking a pause from that right now. But I've written six of them, so I will sell. They'll buy all six of them, you know.
Yeah,
And
it's a great. It's a,
stories,
most of yeah, the romances and they're very nice
correct,
and the interesting characters and they take place in the cities that are there. I think
correct.
one woman she opens an espresso bar, didn't she, or something like that in Venice, or
Oh
she
no, she was a glass maker.
glassmaker. That's right.
She was a
Right, right,
Venetian
right.
glassmaker, and she got this um, glass making laboratory from uh, one of the old, you know, glassmakers from Venice, and she was next door to the oldest bar cafeteria in Venice in Piazza San Marco, and so they ended up falling in love, you know, and all that. So
Right, great, wonderful. That's great. Well, what about the traveling books you have? You've been to Israel, Spain, and Italy, and you're writing about those countries. What made you want to
yes.
go to Israel? You're Italian, so you had one of your books, our Spanish style has a Spanish connection, but Israel came out of the blue. What made you want to go to Israel and write about that? What about that country?
Well, we visited Israel in 2014,
Right.
and the reason why the boomers came out, the traveling boomers came out, is because when we went to Italy in 2018, my husband and I mean, I obviously you guys speak Italian and everything. So I was talking when we were on the buses or everything, the whole group, there was people from Australia, from England, from Ireland, Canada, US, in the tour. And they were noticing that I was speaking with the travel guide and the bus driver, and we were having like conversations and everything like that. So they would come up to me and they'd say, "Hey, Joanne, you know, what do you do this? How do you say that? You know, blah blah blah." So they were asking me all these questions. So all of a sudden, I'm like, "Well, why don't I write a book about all these questions that pop up that people might want to know who've never traveled before, who've never been to certain places?" So that's how the traveling boomers came about. And then after once we did the Italy one, which was quite successful, yeah, I sell it pretty well. I only sell it like $5 when I go to the to my but it's good omens for people to go, "Oh, I want to go to Italy next year. Here, buy this book," and you know, and it's good omens for you. So then we thought about our trip to Israel, and we just absolutely adored being in Israel. It was an experience of a lifetime,
Yeah, it's very
and we
impressive. Yeah.
honestly didn't even want to come back. It was so amazing. So I'm like, let's write one about Israel. Sadly, I can't promote that like at this moment because, you know, of course, what's going on over
It's
there.
going to Gaza and
But
stuff. Yeah.
when I first wrote it, it was, yeah, I sold it very well, especially to people who had never been to the Holy Land and they really wanted to go. So, and then Spain and the islands we went in 2022. We went um, to Spain and the Canary Islands. So I had a friend
Canary
she had
Islands.
a
Oh, that's
house in the
interesting.
Canary
Yeah.
Islands, always an Italian friend of mine. And she goes, "Here, I'll give you the keys." You know, she lives in the States. She lives here close to us here in Florida. So she gave me the keys to her apartment. But I said, "Okay, let's do this. Let's go to Madrid." So we stayed in Madrid for a couple of days, did some touring, and then we went to Las Palmas, which is the main city in the Canary Islands. So, and hence the book.
I mean,
And now
Spain
I
is.
just finished
Yeah.
publishing Cruising, Traveling Boomers Cruising, because we went on a cruise, and there's a lot of people who be surprised I've never gone on a cruise. So there you have
Does
it.
he
So I
have?
wrote a book about cruising.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
Spain is, it's funny. Italy used to be the top, besides France maybe or whatever, was the
Yeah.
top tourist destination. But I think Spain is equal to it nowadays, and maybe even overtaking it in some ways.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised when I went to Spain. I mean, Madrid is so clean. I
Yeah,
was so amazed by it,
yeah,
because Rome, when we were in Rome, and we were with the tour guide, and so our hotel was a little bit on the outskirts of like the main part of Rome. I mean, where all the tourist attractions are, it's beautiful. The Vatican's gorgeous, everything. But once you go out a little bit, whoa, it's nasty. Paris is the same. Florence, not too bad. Verona, Milan was disgusting. So I was
really.
just like,
Wow.
God,
Wow.
I really feel bad. It's just they just don't. They can't control it. They just
Really?
can't.
Huh.
Yeah,
Is that
people
just
like
the?
literally people, you know, defecating in the middle of the street, and you see tents rolled up, and it's just graffiti everywhere.
That's sad. That's right. That's a lot to do with the migrant influx that's going on there. I guess is that what the reason why?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
huh?
and all these crazies who want to ruin all the masterpieces of art and everything. They want to ruin them. They go and
Yeah,
they spill tomato juice or whatever on them. And I mean,
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
terrible.
why is this happening?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, that's just recently too. Really. Yeah.
Very
Awful.
recent, and now they're gluing their hands to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. I
I don't
just
get
don't.
it either. I don't get it either. Yeah.
Mm.
That's terrible. Yeah. What are you going to go to another country and visit there and write a book about traveling
Well, hopefully, well, next year. So this year I'm retiring. Next month is going to be my 65th birthday.
oh,
So I'm going to be finally retiring. But although I'm still working like half a day, because I
right.
like working. Well, I've worked since I was 15 years old. So,
Sure. Yeah, right.
but
Right.
yeah, the next one is kind of hopefully going to be Greece.
Oh, Greece. Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
idea. That's I could see
Greece.
that. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
And well, we do want to do like, like England, Ireland, Scotland, because there's so much history in those places too. But we
Yeah.
also want to go because my husband's, my book, Good Things Always Happen in Springtime.
Yeah.
That is very inspired by my husband's grandparents, and they were a true interfaith couple. So she was Jewish and he was Catholic,
How about that?
and
Interesting.
they, but I set them in Nazi Germany to make the story a little more compelling. But they came here in the early teens of last century, um, and so there's always this story about if he had to change, if she had to become a Catholic or something. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
like a little mystery around them. But
Right.
I kept their names and everything because Fisher was written with the C. So I kept their names, Georg and Charlotte. So
Oh, okay. Right.
yeah, it's a good story. So my
Why are
husband
you
wants to
working?
go visit his grandparents' city
Right.
and all that. So
Are you working on a new book of fiction at all? Or are you working on a new book?
yes, yes, I'm working on a murder mystery that's set in the Everglades.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
wow.
And that
Huh.
has nothing to do with the news site there. That has
I
nothing
was
to
gonna
do with
say
it.
what's going on, right?
I came up with it before they even thought about it.
Oh,
Okay.
jeez, man, that's rough. Yeah,
There's a little Indian village called the Mukosoki, something like that.
yeah.
Can't remember. But anyway, so it's about this young girl who's about 15, and she witnesses a crime. Basically, two siblings are pushing their parents in the swamp, and because they killed them first, and they're pushing them in the swamp. So she sees everything, and she keeps the secret for 20 years, and then everything comes out, and yeah. So so yeah, it's called Blood in the Everglades.
Blood in the Everglades. That sounds great. Yeah, it sounds like a real murder
Yes.
mystery. Yeah,
And my
that's what
favorite,
do you like writing best? Do you like?
Sid Daniels, is going to be working on that one again.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Jupiter, Florida. Yeah, we went there one year. It was really good. A lot of
I
good
know when
food.
I visit Florida, I can't get over the number of Italians who are there. I just a lot of
Oh, there's lots of
yeah,
lots.
tons. It's just
So
amazing.
we have a group of Italians that are that married like military men, or women, vice versa. And we have a page called L'Italiani della Space Coast. So we live on the Space Coast, as you know.
Yeah.
Another friend of mine who was helping me with one of my books, and she told me, she goes, why don't you join the Facebook page? So I did, and there's like probably 100 and some odd people there. So also they have like restaurants on there that are owned by real Italians, like
Yes.
pizzeria and all that. So we tend to go to those places and not like your classic, New York pizza kind of thing, because we want authentic Italian. So yeah, we're very picky in our food.
Right. Well, speaking about Space Coast, you did write a book called The Melbourne Connection.
Yes, the Melbourne Connection.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
like Melbourne, Australia, but also Melbourne, Florida, and it's kind
correct.
of this complex murder that takes
It's
place.
connected by three horrendous murders.
Yes, right. So yeah, it's a lot of your stuff takes place in your neck of the woods there in Florida, but it's all over the place. I mean, you have
Yeah.
you really seem like you enjoy the Deep South, and Magnolia Blossom was a book that you wrote.
Oh, that was. I've gotten so many accolades for that book. It was amazing because, and the reason is because it's so authentic. I did a lot of research on that book. And I also contacted a person called James Permain, and he was he was an actor of the reenactments that they do of Alesti and all the other ones, and
Yeah.
he also appeared in a lot of Civil War movies. So he
Oh, really?
knows Civil War stuff inside and out.
Right.
He knows that period, that era of what they did, how they talked. I mean, everything. So I said, can you help? Somebody gave him his name, through someone, and he really helped me out a lot. And that's why the book, when I got reviews, they're going, oh, this is truly authentic, like the way they speak and everything. I love that part of history.
Well, what do you like most about being an American? You've been American what now for about 15, 14 years, 15 years, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You're Canadian, Italian, you're American now. What do you like most about being here in the United States?
Honestly, the freedom that I have
Really?
here. It's like here he's like, okay, let's open up a business. Okay. Like so now that I was increasing a lot, we had a business a few years ago and didn't do well, so we closed it down. Okay. But now I had to open up an LLC with all the books that I have. I had to kind of protect my copyright and all that stuff.
Mm.
So I just went online, opened it up, blah, 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 done. Pay your fees, you're done. It's like, okay, it's just so nice. And it's just kind of, you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. And, well, it depends where you live. At Florida, still, you're good.
Yeah,
But
Florida's still very free, so that's good. Yeah.
yes. And the taxes are great, and I mean, we're in Florida, we're doing great. So, I mean, I can't complain. I mean, honestly, and I don't.
And I think you're going to get a huge influx of New Yorkers soon if
Yeah.
Zohan Madani becomes the mayor, communist, socialist, whatever he is.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody's going to leave and come down.
I mean, New
They're
York.
all going to Florida. I mean,
Oh no, there a lot of them are coming, but you know what? Please don't come to Florida.
right, I know. Yeah, you're right about that. They have. I'm sure they're going to go to Georgia, South Carolina as well. I mean,
They're going to go to the red states. Yeah,
yeah,
well,
they're going to grow by leaps and bounds, and we
I
just hope they
honestly
don't
hope
change
that they
the
don't.
station. Right, that's amazing.
I honestly hope that they don't elect this guy, but
Oh, he just was. I was just.
it's just a primary though.
Yeah, well, it's at the New York primary, so now you have the general election. But they just had a report, and I was just looking at it, and I'm at to post it on Primo. He gave his middle finger to a statue of Columbus, and he took a photo of it. Took a selfie or whatever it was with it, yeah, saying tear down the statue. So yeah, I if you're an Italian American, and it's got to be maybe more than 500,000 of them
It's
still living in New York
always
City.
Christopher Columbus who has to pay the price for all these weird lunatics. I mean, I don't understand. And even when sometimes when I talk with people around here or whatever, or even the Italians are like, "Oh, he wasn't." I'm like, dude, if it
I
wasn't
know.
for him, we wouldn't be here. And then
I
America is named after an Italian too, and America is named after Amerigo Vespucci.
yeah,
It's like,
right.
what's wrong with you people? Like, if it wasn't for these explorers, we wouldn't be here. Nobody
It
would
wouldn't be
here.
here. Right.
So I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
get them, but whatever.
Right.
Anyway, that's what I love about America and Florida, especially. I
Well,
just
that's
don't
great,
like the bugs. I don't like the bugs. I don't like snakes.
Yeah. Oh, Florida,
That's all.
Right. Great. Well, it's great talking to you, and we have to talk to you again. Some really, you're very industrious, very active writer, and you got a lot of events you do each year. How many events do you do a year? I mean, how many public events do you do a year?
I do about a half a dozen here and
Really?
there, like, yeah, just sometimes they're just little church events, and
Oh,
sometimes
really?
they're
Oh.
like regular authors, a bunch of authors, whatever. It all depends on, what floats my boat at that moment.
Well, just
But
in
I do
Florida?
about
Do you
half a
go
dozen.
outside of Florida? Do you go to other states? I
Yes, I
guess.
go outside of Florida too. Sometimes I go to Georgia. I don't go too far, but I've been to South Carolina. We've been a little bit all over, but I mainly try to stay on the Eastern Seaboard.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. Well, it's so
Hmm.
good to talk to you, and I hope we can talk to each other again. And
Okay.
you're just it's folks. I'll put a link to your book page.
Okay.
A lot of books listed there. Unless you want to tell us what your website is.
www.joannesbooks.com.
Say it again.
www.joannesbooks.com.
Joanne'sBooks.com, folks. A lot of great books. All are excellent reads. You start the book and you keep on wanting to read it and read it and read it, until you get done with it because it's so interesting and exciting. And like I said, you take us to all parts of Italy. You have thrillers, suspense, romance, and I have these traveling books also. If people want to see some interesting sites and countries, Israel, Spain, and Italy. So a lot of interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Oh, and I'm also working on a new detective series where there is a interfaith couple. So he's Haitian and she's Italian, and they're like lightning together, and they solve mysteries around the Miami area. And yeah, I'm working on that series. So that's upcoming,
That's
probably
great.
next year.
Oh wow, wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. I mean, how what part of the day do you find where you really like to write? Is there a particular
it
time in the
doesn't
day?
matter. I write whenever I can. Whenever
Really?
I have like 10 minutes, I throw something down, and then in my editor, then he's the one who takes care of all the putting it in order and all that stuff. I just write, and then he takes care of everything else.
And you would
And
do
my
the same?
cover lady does my covers, so I'm good.
You're good. You're good. Great. Good for you.
Yeah,
Good.
I got a good system.
You sure do. Great. Well,
Yeah.
Joanne, it's great talking to you, and
All right.
look
Thanks,
forward to talking to
Trudy.
you again
Thanks
and
for the
stuff.
time. I appreciate it.
You bet, and all the best to you, Joanne Fisher, folks.
Okay.
She's writing some
Thanks,
great books
guys.
and everything. Thank you very much.
Tanti saluti.
Okay, thanks.